Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I cannot wait to chat about relationship anarchy, which we've talked briefly about or mentioned at least in a bunch of the episodes thus far. But we really haven't actually
Yep.
delved into what it actually is. We're also going to be revisiting queer platonic relationships and chatting about how a philosophy like relationship anarchy can be, on one hand, a useful lens to view relationships like QPRs, but at the same time doesn't fully capture the nuanced dynamics of what a QPR is. So, without further ado, let me introduce the podcast and myself. So, the ASPEC podcast is a podcast which explores asexuality and aromanticism with a particular focus on intersectional identity. Because through this podcast, I've really wanted to highlight the fact that asexuality and aromanticism are not a monolithic experience, and there's a huge amount of diversity under the ace and aro umbrellas. And so kind of the focus here has been to shed light on, a bunch of different experiences of, folks that, fall under the ace and aro umbrellas and chatting about, the unique aspects of ace and aro relationships. And so my name is Tai. Um, I am aro, aspec, and non-binary, part-time PhD student, and when I'm not crunching numbers on Python, I run this podcast and do a little gaming on the side on my Tai channel. But enough about me. Let's introduce the two guests today. Let's start with Peach. Do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about your channel?
Yeah. So, hello, my name is Peach. Um, I have the Peachtastic Twitch channel, peachtastic.com. I do a lot of gaming creation with my partner Cyro, maybe seen in the chat. We play a lot of Rivals right now because we're a little bit obsessed with Marvel Rivals, but that's okay. That's okay. I also have a crochet shop. I crochet little animals, little amigurumis, and I love them. And so that's usually what I'm doing, either gaming or crocheting.
Heck yeah, thanks for introducing yourself. And Sleepy Bunny, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. My name is Sleepy Bunny. A I'm an artist. I also am non-binary. I go by they them all pronouns. For my art, I stream on Twitch. I usually post my little shorts on TikTok and YouTube, and also on Instagram and on Twitter as well. I have the whole shebang.
The
For
shebang.
the shebang. I'm oh, blah, blah, blah. What I do on my channel, I mainly stream art. If I'm not, then I'm streaming games, like usually rhythm games, visual novels, little RPGs like Undertale and Amori. I do want to crochet because I also do crochet. So it's like,
Hey.
dude, or we also, I might do like a little bit of IRL streaming. Who knows? Blah, blah, blah. And I also do tarot readings as well, which,
Cool.
but that's enough about me. Oh, also I'm demisexual, demi-romantic, and panromantic. Yay! Nice.
Heck yeah, thanks so much for introducing yourselves. And I'm very excited to chat about, the topics du jour.
Oh
So,
yeah.
relationship
Hey.
anarchy. It's a relationship philosophy um, that is non hierarchical in nature, and a huge part of it is challenging societal norms and assumptions about relationships. So the
Mhm.
concept originated in a blog in, I think, 2009 by Andy Nordgren. We now have a command for it, Relationship Anarchy. So if you ever want to learn more, you can always read the blog.
You're doing better spelling than I can. I hope you know that.
Real, so real. So the blog was originally shown in or written in Swedish. It has since been translated in English and has been put on the anarchistlibrary.org. And so there are several core values or tenets to relationship anarchy. That is, relationships should be non-hierarchical. No one relationship is more important than another relationship. That is to say, each relationship in your life serves its own unique purpose. No one relationship can ever fulfill all your needs, all the things that you are looking for. So each relationship is important and should be treated as such as a result. A huge part of it is rejecting societal norms. You know, relationships shouldn't be decided by what society deems a relationship is, but instead, the relationship should be, you know, explicitly set, basically decided upon by those in the relationship. Makes sense, right?
Mhm.
If folks are in a relationship, they should be the ones to decide, what does that relationship look like. Another
We
huge
live in
part
a
of this.
society.
Sorry?
I was gonna my mind. I let my impulsive thoughts get to me. We live
No
in a
worries.
society. A society.
Exactly.
Society.
Society. Go on. Go on. I let my impulsive
Anyways,
thoughts take me.
So a huge part of relationship anarchy is communication. Any successful relationship, whether it be platonic, whether it be queer platonic, whether it be romantic, requires frequent and purposeful communication. Without communication, you're going to run into troubles. So, those are kind of the several core values. There's technically, I think, 9 core tenets, which you can read about in Andy Nordgren's blog. But they all sort of focus around these 3 main values. So while folks in poly communities often or may practice relationship anarchy itself is not poly. They are often related, but they're not the same. So keeping in mind that relationship anarchy is a thing upon itself. Thank you so much, Duke, for 3 subs already.
Let's fucking go!
Thank
There's
you
me, the
so,
MVP right
so
there. Let's
much,
fucking go.
Duke.
And also piggybacking off of the communication, I believe that communication should be across the board, not even just in relationship anarchy, but also normal relationships as well.
Exactly.
Because without a relationship, because without communication, you don't have a relationship.
Exactly.
You have even with situationships, there's some communication, even though there's probably a lack of them in situations in the first place. But there is
Absolutely.
always supposed to be communication, regardless of any type of relationship you have, boss, familial, whatever.
That's
Communication
why
is key.
I like to mention it, because even if you don't practice relationship anarchy itself, I think many of the values that relationship anarchy holds can be useful. They can be useful food for thought. Some of the aspects of it are absolutely applicable to any type of relationship. So very good point, Sleepy Bunny. So that's kind of a
Awesome.
brief overview of relationship anarchy. Hugster Druk brought up a very good question. What is the difference between platonic, queer platonic, and what's the difference between a platonic and a queer platonic relationship? So we will go into more detail around that. However, typically when we're talking about platonic relationships, we are typically referring to relationships that would typically be seen by society as a quote friendship. They don't include what Western societies would typically see as romantic aspects.
Yeah, no hand
However,
holding. No hand holding
exactly.
is allowed.
However, that is a very Western perspective of what a platonic friendship looks like. Because in other cultures, things like kissing, things like hand holding are much more commonly seen amongst platonic friendships. So you have to really think about the context and the where you are and what the culture you're in as to what a platonic friendship is, because there is no one way to be in a platonic relationship in reality, and what those bounds are differ depending where you are in the world. So it's always a very fuzzy boundary. However, queer platonic relationships typically go beyond that a little bit. Sometimes people refer to them as your emergency contact person. They typically involve a greater degree of emotional closeness than you would typically associate with a platonic friendship, and may include elements both of platonic and romantic relationships, though the nature of what a queer platonic relationship varies from QPR to QPR. Kind of a high-level overview, and we'll dig into this in more detail in a little bit.
And also like this is where communication also goes into play as well, not just in relationship anarchy, even though QPRs also do go hand in hand with like relationship anarchy. But truth be told, like it takes communication. I'm personally in a QPR myself, like one actually a year in. Yay. But she tolerates me. Anyway.
Woo!
um,
Toleration. We love it.
toleration, let's go.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. And we communicate whenever we need to, or whenever like we need to make like a decision. For example, like they're coming to my state, so we can like go to a con together and spend time together. That's something that we need to communicate. Like, okay, let's see like who's gonna be living with who's gonna where are we going for dates. That's basically bounds of communication that is in my QPR. Because we're basically like friends plus. That's that's the best way to describe
That's a
it.
great
We
way
got
of
a little, yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
friends plus, exactly.
No, your friends plus. We go on little dates. We basically we go on little dates. We like do stuff for each other. We give each other gifts and stuff like that. Like, of course, we have more romantic than sexual like stuff going on in our relationship. But not needless to say that every QPR is gonna be like that. Some QPRs do actually have sexual
Mm-hmm.
relations or elements. Some
Yep.
don't. Some just it's just strictly romantic counterparts. So it just depends on like what the two or like multiple people want in
Mm-hmm.
that relation in those relationships.
There's no one way to have a QPR, and we'll definitely be talking about that in a bunch more detail.
Yeah, because I'm skipping over. We're supposed to be talking
No worries.
anarchy.
So we'll start with kind of the relationship anarchy here, and I want to get some ideas of how do you incorporate relationship anarchy, or at least some of its principles, into the relationships that you have. And are you able to comment on how you know, aspects of relationship anarchy can be applied to any type of a relationship.
I'm gonna let Peach speak on this first because I've been yapping way too much.
Now I have nothing in my head. No, you go just as I'm like an adder. I don't like always have something to start, you know?
Uh,
So you start and I'll add on to it. Like that's my strength.
got it, got it, got it. They'll go first. I'll be the sacrifice.
The
Yay,
second.
a human sacrifice.
Yay!
Oh, I would say like for me in my relationship, um, I would say like I would say like our relationship is more or less like we check in on each other. Like we when it comes to like all my relationships are basically the same on the same level. No, nothing takes priority over the other. Of course, my partner is important to me, and obviously, I would hide a body for them if given the chance. But still, they're just as important to me as my friends, and I notice in like a lot of like cishet relationships from what I've seen from my friends who are cishet. So it's not like I'm like basing it off of like, oh yeah, cishet did this. Like no, I see that especially like with my male like cis friends that they prioritize their partners or girlfriends over their friends, or they don't, or like the more they get to with their girlfriend, the less they spend time with their friends. Which there's something wrong. You just need to like have time management and see like what you want. But the fact that they prioritize their romantic relationships than their platonic, yeah, I don't do that. I would say
Mhm.
I think that's like the part of at least relationship anarchy that I personally partake in. Question mark.
Yeah. I think like what me and my partner do is like we live together, so we spend the majority of our time, just us. We're even even in living in the same place, when we're not in the same room, we tend to be in a call together because we're like watching TV or playing games together, or like he's working and I'm doing something and we're chatting, and like it's all very uh together. But when I, have maybe have a friend that wants to do something, we struggle with jealousy. And it's not that he's jealous that I'm spending time with other people. He's just jealous that I have someone to spend time with. And so it's different. Um, but like the anarchy part of our relationship really is that, you know, there is a sexual part of our relationship, but it's not a large part. It's kind of like an afterthought. Like not an afterthought. Like if everything is going super well and we're not stressed, then we're like, "Oh, hey, maybe let's plan some sexy time in." But I've been unemployed and he's been stressed with work and depressed, and I just got through my autism assessment last month, and la di da.
Let's go
Hey, the
sing.
caber!
Woo,
Woohoo!
the caver. Let's, bro.
Thank
Never
you so
in
much, Duke.
chat.
The Duke is basically the MVP right there and there.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Honestly, you're so real for that piece because I
It's the
also got my
MVP, most valuable viewer.
hell yeah. Like I'm not gonna hold you. Like I think a couple of months ago, I actually did get my autism screening as well.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I
Hell
also
yeah,
got my
congrats to you
ADHD as
both.
well.
So
So
like I knew, but
yes,
now a professional is also confirming this. So that's cool.
it's
Um
very validating.
and like we also like the gendered like chores that you think, like we don't subscribe to that either, because I am very sensitive to smells. So I don't do very well with like trash or litter. and lots of cleaning things I just really struggle with, and my partner is an absolute goat. Goat. He's the best. He is seriously the best, and he does so much for me. But oh sorry, Google is telling me that I need to take my meds, but I did take my meds. Thank you.
Hell yeah, I took my meds too. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We did a high five.
Maybe- Hell yeah. A virtual high five.
I clapped.
Hell yeah.
So
Duke is being the MVP again.
for real.
For real. But you
Take your
actually
meds, Busby.
take your meds. Take your meds.
Hell yeah, take your meds.
Hell yeah. You actually remind me of like another thing about like my relationship. She's
Oh, do
reminded
it.
me. Yeah. Cause like I I always joked about like my partner being like my left brain, my technicality being the shadow to my Sonic. But truth be told, like it's true. It's very true. They're very technical. They iron out like the bigger details or like the ideas that I have. Cause like I'm not gonna lie, even though like it might seem logical or like have a plan, it's very idealistic, and they're the one who actually puts it into plan. Like for example, for the con, like they're the one who figure out the hotel, the tickets, do the like basically be my left brain, while I'm here like, let's make the costumes, let's make the cosplay. Basically I'm the creative and they're the technical, even though we're both creative and technical in our own terms. One is more than the other.
You
And
need
it's
both of these skills.
yeah, you need
Like
both
you
these
need both.
skills.
And you can
Yeah.
help each other, and that's great.
Yeah. And like and even though like it's more like I don't know, like for like gender norms, it's like what the woman's the whimsy and the guy is the technical. Like we don't do that. Like we sometimes swap pants in a relationship.
Very good.
Really good point. The whole gender norms is certainly something that irks me. It's very much a societal norm that, we can certainly, through, a relationship anarchy lens, say, to heck with that. And, I very much am in agreement with that, especially being somebody who's, NB myself. So I don't, what is the societal norm for an NB person? There isn't one.
That is
Nope.
true. How can I live, laugh, love in these conditions? Like both me and my partner are non-binary. They're non-binary. Well, I'm agender to be specific. So more or less like we are just an enigma.
Could you remind me of the difference, or maybe remind me what agender is?
Okay, so agender is
Or what?
basically
Yeah, what's the
having no
difference between
gender.
non-binary and agender?
So non-binary means that you don't have a gender within the spectrum of both male and female.
Like you want to be
While
somewhere else on their
yeah,
spectrum.
and agender means that you're not there. You have zero gender whatsoever. Non-binary means that you're not in the binary gender spectrum, while agender means that you
Okay.
don't have a gender at all.
How does that? I don't know how to phrase this question. I would
Go
like to know
ahead.
more.
I don't mind
Of
saying more
how
because like
does I want to know more about how it feels to be agender to you. I guess.
so for
there's a question. I did it.
So for me, whenever someone says like, "Oh, what do you feel like? What's your gender?" It's just like, it's there, but not quite.
Right.
That's basically what it feels like.
I
It's
had a
not if that's just basically what agender feels like. Like you don't, it's not there. It's
Yeah.
non-existent. Like
Hmm.
you're like, okay, like I am gender non-conforming. Like I swap from male to presenting male to
Oh,
female all the
do you
time.
swip around?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I swap around.
I'm not gonna pick one. I'm gonna do both.
Yeah, I'm just gonna why not both? I
Yeah,
don't know.
porque no
I
los
forgot this
dos.
exactly. Yeah, like currently, I
But
do
this way.
girl mode for my work. And right now I'm just wearing make. I my inspiration for my makeup today is actually Rucha Bat.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Oh
Basically
my
so.
god. I love that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and my partner is more or less like femme leaning non-binary. Like they
Okay.
are NB, but they like more skirts and more makeup than like I would do. Like I swap on like the daily while they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna like chill like right here.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, thank you for explaining
no
a bit
problem.
of course you did. I always love learning a little bit about things that I'm less familiar with.
Hell yeah.
So
I call myself like the queer encyclopedia because like I pretty much know like a good like a whole bunch of amount of like when it comes to like the queer community, but I'm not gonna know every single thing.
no, of course not.
Exactly. If I don't know something, I look it up and learn about it.
Yep. Then you know more. You are more powerful.
The more you know. Also, sorry, Ty, for like sidelining. We just previously derailed the whole entire thing.
Oh,
I think they're muted.
are you
Oh,
muted?
sorry. I was
I think
saying
you're
that.
muted.
Very
Uh,
good.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay. I was saying that I have a agender friend, and the way they explain how they feel their agender manifests is that their gender feels like a void.
That's exactly what I describe it to.
Yeah. So
Fun. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it.
It's like, and I always joke that like I graduated without my gender because like as soon as I graduated, literally when they said like, "All right, guys, put your tassels to the other side," I felt my gender just escaping. Just like, oh, it's gone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you later.
See you later. See you never.
Have a nice life.
Have a good time. Oh,
I love
God.
it.
Love it. Welcome to my TED Talk. I'll be here every Tuesday.
so there was a question in the chat. It's a very broad question. I'll
Okay.
quickly sort of make this. So I think for folks that are ace and or arrow, it depends on the person. I think there is no one way to be ace. There is no one way to be arrow. They are different
Mhm.
identities. So someone that is asexual feels little to no sexual attraction. Someone that's aromantic feels little to no romantic attraction. But I think, that particular question would vary from person to person. For me, if I think you're a cool person, you're a cool person. If your values align with mine, I think you're a cool person. I'd love to hang out with you. That's how I see it for me.
I can actually like say as like a double demi or like a demi arrow ace. Like I have to know you like a good chunk, and we have to vibe. Like yes, I need emotional attachment needs to be there, but it's not a guaranteed. Like for example, like I knew my partner for almost 10 years, and
Wow.
we only got together in one within a year and some change. Like I had to be and she's and well they use she they pronouns just like just swapping. But
Perfect.
they're the only person that I actually feel comfortable in my longest relationship because we're able to communicate, we're able to feel safe with each other, and like they basically like set my anxiety to like zero, like be like, oh, like what but they're they're gray sexual they're asexual no they're asexual gray romantic, meaning that like their libido is gone, they don't feel any sexual attraction
Mm.
like whatsoever. But like it takes like a hot minute for them to actually be like romantically attracted to somebody. And like that's basically the best way I can describe it without them being here to like confirm or clarify. But it's basically like again going back to QPRs. Um, again, our relationship is basically like platonic and romantic. There's literally no like sexual like things going on. Sexual jokes, yes, but nothing
Uh,
truly like
that's the
sexual.
best part. The
Exactly,
best part of
yes.
hanging out with ace people is the sex jokes.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
just because we're ace doesn't mean we don't make jokes.
Exactly. Like I'm able to make the exact same joke as someone
Sometimes they're
who's
worse.
hollow.
Sometimes they're even worse.
Sometimes we're worse. Oh my god. Right. Yay. Going on. Do you have anything else to add on, Ty or Peach?
I am just here along for the
Yeah,
ride,
I think
honestly.
we've
Hell yeah.
we've definitely, I think we've talked a fair bit around, relationship anarchy. We did, talk a little bit about some of the questions in the chat as well. And I will remind folks in the chat that these are just one of many experiences. There is no one way to be ace. There's no one way to be arrow. And so I think the question or the answer would vary from person to person. For some folks, they may be sex averse, they may not be comfortable with somebody that is hypersexual, but that's not the case for everyone. And I think, there's unfortunately a great misunderstanding that has come about through media, for example, that all aces are sex averse and sex negative. And that is not the case at all for all aces. So, you got to keep that in mind. There's really an umbrella and a spectrum of experiences that fall under the ace umbrella, just like there's a spectrum of experiences that fall under the arrow umbrella. So there's no one right answer, and that answer would vary from person to person. I'll just sort of
Absolutely.
leave it kind of there with that regard, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, I'm sex neutral. Like, both me and my partner are sex neutral. Like, I don't personally care about
Yeah.
sex. I can live without it.
Yeah.
And also like again, our relationship is basically platonic romantically. Like, it's just solo play. Exactly.
Hmm.
It's just solo play. Like you don't
Yeah.
really need anybody to like feel good or like to like commit the act.
Hmm.
Like the term like literally ace and arrow, it just means that you don't feel the attraction. Doesn't mean that you don't desire
Hmm.
or like don't like the act or like the partake of like a romantic gesture or
Yeah.
something romantic.
Exactly. And so, there's also, I think, usually there's a conflation of the terms libido and sexual attraction. So libido is just sort of, I don't know, random horny feeling, but it's not sexual attraction. So sexual
Yeah,
attraction is that
basically.
libido is directed directly at somebody, whereas libido is just random. It happens.
Right.
Yeah. Like I have a very libido, but my partner's libido is zero. Zip. Put your expectations to zero. And like me and my partner are both pretty different aces. So just because like we're both different doesn't or like we're both like two examples of the same coin doesn't mean like another person might be the same. Oh,
Yeah.
that person might be like ew, sex, bleh, or like be like yeah,
Bleh.
sex is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Absolutely.
also also thank you again, Duke, for like this a scribble.
Absolutely.
Girls.
Duke has been going on off wildly with all sorts of gift subs. Thank you so much again, Duke. You are far too kind as usual.
At some point, I'm gonna have to ask, like, how much money do you have in your bank account, bro?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, like I don't want your I want your bank account to be in commas, not decimals.
That's a really good point, Duke.
Take care of
So
yourself.
Ace, exactly. Take care of yourself first.
Absolutely.
Always, always.
I will I will feel terrible if like you're shilling money and then rent is doing you are basically $1,000 short. I don't want that to happen to you.
That goes for
Yes, please
anyone.
no.
You know, your your well-being, your financial situation. You take care of you first. Always is what I would say.
Yeah, this is hard
Absolutely.
out in these
Absolutely.
streets.
It's a real tough time for sure, especially right now.
I'm from
Um,
Floridian. I think I should know.
absolutely. So Duke mentioned ASTAT advice. Mentions so ASTAT advice, also known as Cody diagonal orients, mentions or describes libido as the level of intensity of sexual feeling. However, there it's a little bit, I would say, circular because it's, I don't know, that almost feels like a circular definition. I've never had a great way of describing libido, but what I would say is attraction is specific to a particular person.
the way
Libido
that
is
I
not.
describe the way that I describe libido is like a level or a meter. I describe it as a meter. Like for example, like some meters go up and down. Some meters stay the same. Some meters are just straight up in zero. So I view libido as a meter. Okay, it's cool now. Then the mirror goes up and up, and it's like, oh wait, okay, a sexual feeling. But sometimes the libido just goes down for either A release or B something happens and you become espresso depresso. And that's perfectly fine. And the meter goes down. It's a varying meter. Some meters stay in place, stagnant, or stay in place. Some meter varies. So that's what I personally like say what libido is.
Mm-hmm.
A meter of like sexual arousal.
Mm-hmm. A good way. And also Caber had a really good point. Libido could be thought of as wanting sex, whereas sexual attraction is wanting a specific person, wanting somebody specific. That's the key difference there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on, actually. That's very spot on. Because, like, as someone that actually has a varying libido, but, like, has barely sexual attraction, it's just like, oh, it's there. But can I think of anybody to, like, point this to? Nope. Well, oh well.
Oh well. And then it
Um,
goes away.
exactly.
Well,
It's just
that was
simply
fun.
because. Just be like, oh, it's fun. Like, see you in, like, a couple of weeks.
So I think we've done our best to, try to answer that. Again, I'll mention, look, it depends from person to person. There is no one way to answer that question. So
Can we reiterate the question?
it's
Yeah,
a
like,
long one. It's essentially,
let's see.
Yeah, that's
Let me
kind of. I wanted to get a recap.
yeah.
Yeah, let me read it out loud. I went oh hey Zeus, hi, what's good? Anyway,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm just talking about libido, I'm talking about being very attracted to someone. Like when I'm attracted to someone, I guess you can say my libido is not really very high, but not actually activated until I'm attracted to a specific someone. It's hard to explain a question so they're per se. When I was high sexually attracted
Yeah.
first it's to a certain sexual person here, it'll be automatic hard pass. I wouldn't say it's a very hard pass because like we cannot control whether or not we're sexually attracted to somebody. Like for example, if I were to say like, oh, I'm very sexually attracted to my partner, but my partner doesn't feel the same way, it's not a hard pass. It's not a hard pass at all. It just means that you actually find this person very sexually attracted.
Hmm.
That's what I say in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other thing I want to kind of bring up is just because you aren't necessarily attracted to someone doesn't mean that you are, that you wouldn't, that you wouldn't be okay having sex with somebody in certain circumstances. It depends on the person. But, what I'm saying is that just because somebody's ace doesn't mean that they are sex negative necessarily.
Yeah,
So,
because the act of sex is different than the
yeah,
attraction.
exactly.
Because there's plenty of asexuals, both like in relationships and like the sex work field, yada yada yada, who actually like the feeling of sex. They
Exactly.
actually like it.
Yeah.
However, there's literally no sexual attraction.
Yeah. So that's the key there. Is they don't necessarily feel, that person wouldn't feel this, sexual attraction, but they're okay or they enjoy the feeling of sex itself. And so, there are, I've definitely heard that many times under the ACE umbrella for sure. And that's a completely valid ACE experience.
Yeah, and it's not like a ace experience that is really that talked about, mainly
No.
because like how media is when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to asexual like people. Like I think there's a couple good representations of asexual people like Todd from BoJack Horseman. There's also allegedly Psyche K from the Disastrous Life of Psyche K. Like there's I think Dr. Stone, like the main character Dr. Stone is also like perceived as like a claimed ace person. Like there's different types of aces
Mm-hmm.
and not one is gonna fit like the whole entire
No.
mold that the society we live in society
Yeah.
society society no one ace is gonna like fit the societal norms that they paint for ace people, like
Exactly.
just like the societal norms for trans people. There's no one right way to be trans, there's no right way to be ace, there's no right way to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like how like there's no right way to be like bisexual, pansexual. It's just the collective average, like it's the collective like experiences that these people that identify
Mm-hmm.
with these labels feel and what they are.
Exactly.
So if you were to like have like for example like me explaining what pangender is, I can only explain by definition. I cannot explain by feeling. I cannot explain by what a pangender person would go through. I can only say the definition. Were
Right.
to per say like an actual pangender person were to come up here and say like actually this is what I feel and this is what my experience is for being pangender,
Mm-hmm.
then then I would then like I would say like listen to this person instead of me, because I can only like explain the agender experience,
Mm-hmm.
the
Exactly.
opposite experience.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of good books that I can recommend. One of the ones that I really recommend is really approachable and is good kind of for folks that are as familiar with the terminology that we maybe not be talking about is ACE by Angela Chen is a great one, and it really highlights just the broad spectrum of experiences that fall under asexuality. So
I
that's
feel
a
like
great book.
another one which is by Nort. I forgot the actual name, but it's an 18 plus comic, and even though it's not the main characters are actually gay. There's the side characters with the brother and the supposed like, crazy friend that has a QPR. That's the best way to describe their relationship. It's actually been confirmed by Nort themselves, saying like, yeah, it's actually kind of like a QPR. Is a 18 plus comic by Nord. I need to like see the name in order to like recommend it. Obviously, if you're of age, above the age of 18, I'm looking at y'all minors. We're not trying to strike a chord. You feel me?
And if
But
Mhm.
anybody is under 18, you should not be here. This is an 18 plus community. This is an 18 plus stream. So
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
hopefully
your
everybody here
kids.
is 18 plus already by
Hopefully. Um, but yeah, and like and even though it is an 18 plus comic, they don't they don't like get sexual because the person, which is actually a trans man, is also asexual, and because of like the asexuality, that's how their relationship works.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend. And this kind of, I'm gonna search it up right now because like the name is slipping me, and I'm here like, please, I need
Neighbor
your
asked, "Are you
number.
talking about the comic Boyfriends?"
No, actually, I personally, I don't. I have some opinions about boyfriends. Personally, I think I think like a lot of people, it gets overhated. That's my opinion on it, because like it was my first introduction. This is way before it got featured on Webtoon, but it was my introduction to a polyamorous relationship in comics.
Mm.
And I personally thought it was really cute. It was really sweet. Of course, the formula gets bland after a while, but it's just boyfriends being cute. Of course, there's stereotypes like there are like stereotypes, but like and also the comics has its problems, especially the creator has its problems. But that was my first introduction to poly relationships and polyamory, and both me and my partner are poly as well. We were just not really like interested in like looking for a third. If it happens, it happens. But that's just basically like my personal standpoint on the comic boyfriends. And I'm still looking for this comic.
Another book that came out more recently is the one created by the Cody Diagonal Orions, also known as Ace Dad Advice. It's very much, it's very much kind of like the 101 of asexuality. It's called I Am Ace, Advice on Living Your Best Ace Life. And that really kind of delves into like the basics of it. Oh, you got
Um,
link blocked.
I got a link block.
Send it to
Yeah,
me.
it just,
No.
Send it
I'll
to
send
me
it
and
to
I'll
you.
drop it. I'll drop it in the chat.
I'll send it to you 110%. But this comic is basically, even though it doesn't really have like, even though it does show titties, it's not an explicit comic per se. It's not explicit, and also like dives into like relationships, both like gay, straight, and like basically working through them, or like have some like little haha funny moments.
Hmm.
But it's a good comic. I recommend, especially when like one of the side quote unquote couples is literally like basically an example of a QPR.
And in terms of a graphic novel, as in a comic, there's also How to Be Ace, a memoir of growing up asexual, by Rebecca Burgess, is another one. But that one's a little bit shorter.
Hmm. I'm trying to rethink like the Ace, because like I remember there was, I'm not sure if it's there anymore. I'm not sure if the person deleted it, but there was a comic. There was an Ace comic, and that's how I discovered this demisexuality.
Hmm.
Way back when I was 15.
So I'm just sharing the comic that
Hell yeah!
Sleepy Bunny shared there. It's called
Again, it isn't.
Overconfidence.
It's not. It's called Nordfirst actually, but
Oh,
I'm not sure if it has an official name. But
oh yeah,
the
Nortverse.
main like yeah, the main leads are both lesbians, and even though like the story with like the supposed QPR, or like what looks like a QPR is a little bit later into the comics, I personally say it's a good read.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
really funny. I love the art style.
Yeah, welcome on in, by the way, Effector of Change. Effector of Change is one of the leaders of the Fruity Stream team that Ghost started, and is one of the
Hell
stream
yeah!
teams that I'm on. So let me give you a shout out.
The shouty for the Audi.
Shouty
Out.
odies.
Shouty Audi. Hell
Absolutely.
yeah.
So we chatted a
Oh,
lot about books and some really good resources, which I'm always happy to share. There's much
Also,
more detailed ones that I can recommend, but they're not kind of the 101s of asexuality and romanticism.
Also, Zeus, this is basically why we have like these types of podcasts, because I recommend the aspect podcast to a couple of people like Zeus, just basically like people who don't really know much about
Mm-hmm.
asexuality, but want to get to know more.
Exactly.
I recommend this podcast because not only because I'm in a couple of episodes, hard, but more or less because it's very informational,
Yeah.
and you're also getting the perspectives of multiple people with
Mm-hmm.
multiple backgrounds. Like, oh, I hear like Google.
It's 420.
420, please, and let's go.
Yeah.
So
Excuse my ADHD.
I've linked the YouTube to the ASPEC podcast, and so if anybody wants to go back and watch previous episodes, the first couple of episodes we really talked about the 101s of asexuality and the 101s of aromanticism. And
Hell
we really went
yeah.
into kind of the definitions of what it is and kind of, some of the different micro labels that fall under those. And
Mhm.
so those might,
Yeah.
could be really helpful to check out as well.
And like my last episode, we talked about gray
Yeah,
ace specifically. So like if
exactly.
you're like, hey, I'm ace, but I sometimes like sex or have a thought,
Mm-hmm.
then gray is exactly where you are.
Hell
And
yeah.
like there's a lot of labels under there. We talked about a bunch of them,
Mm-hmm.
but like it
Absolutely.
was
And
a great way to like look at things and be like, that was also the day I was like, wait, shit, Tai, I might be Arrow.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
shit,
Oh
that's
shit, yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
Oh,
right. And I was like, I'm today years old.
so
Real.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
real.
real,
yeah.
real, real.
Have you
Oh,
actually had a
poor.
few people say, wait, am I possibly Arrow thanks to this podcast? So you're not the
Thank
only one.
you,
Hell
podcast.
yeah, the podcast. So I've been in two of the earlier episodes. I think episode 5 and 7.
Yeah.
I know. Funnily enough, my debut episode for you guys is about QPRs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Uh-huh.
like I'm coming back for
Yeah.
like the exact same topic, with more like experience about my own QPR under my belt.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll just warn folks that we've got an ad coming up in about 2 minutes.
Brother,
You. Yeah, but everybody has
yeah.
a sub now.
Yeah, like except me, apparently. I don't
Oh
mind.
Rip,
no.
rip
Like I'm
bunny.
here anyway.
Ah, it's okay. You cannot be muted because
Yeah, I can't
you're
be
in the
muted.
call.
That is
Exactly.
true. That's true. I have immunity until the podcast is over.
Right.
But yeah, what's also unique? Oh, we can talk. And I was wondering if we would talk about like what's the difference between QPRs and relationship anarchy,
Yeah, so
and what's the similarities and what's the contrast? Because a lot of
absolutely.
people know the definition about QPRs and relationship anarchy,
Yeah.
but it might be a little bit confusing if they first like don't know really much about it,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like yeah.
So what I propose is that we take a short break here and
Yeah,
stretch because we're about to hit ads. And then when
that
we
is
come
true.
back, we can come back, talk a little bit about, the relationship anarchy smorgasbord and then kind of transition into QPRs. Does that sound good?
Hell
Yeah, sounds
yeah.
perfect.
Because
All
I
right.
did not get a break. I just drove
Yeah,
here, went up
exactly.
the
So,
Yeah,
stairs, and I'm
go
still
get
in my
your
fucking.
go do your stuff. Go
I,
change. And
all
I
right.
don't I don't feel
So,
right back here. I have to do dishes, bro.
thank you so much, Duke, gifting a sub to
Duke.
Poison Bats. You are way, way, way too kind. So we are going to um, go into a break here. We're going to switch over to um, the Be Right Back screen, take a stretch, And we'll be back in 3 to 4 minutes. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do that. We'll swap over to be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. I will turn
Welcome
emote.
back.
I will
Welcome back.
turn emote only off at this point. Thank you again. We can leave it on for. Why don't we leave it on for like 2 more minutes. We'll leave it on for 2 more minutes, and then we'll put it back to regular chat.
Yeah. You better
Sound
give
good?
us some questions.
Yeah,
So we can
so
answer.
well, we got lots here to cover, so I figured that we could talk a little bit about the relationship anarchy smorgasbord that I had.
Yes.
So let me
yeah.
just
Bring up the
big ass-
visual.
The visual. So it's so many
so
in that visual.
I just popped the link in the chat for folks to take a look at. However, I will also put it up on the screen. So this is the relationship anarchy smorgasbord. And there's many. Sorry?
Smorgasbord.
Exactly. So there's many versions that exist. Many different versions exist. This is one of many. However, it's really just a tool for discussion when thinking about, what is your relationship going to look like? What are the things that you want to be a part of the relationship, and what are the things that you don't want to include? And so this is a really useful tool to kind of think about, okay, I want my relationship to be romantic, or I don't want it to be romantic. I want it to include, aspects of emotional support. I want it to have kink, but not be sexual. You kind of pick and choose and figure out, what aspects of this particular relationship are important, and what are those things that are outside the boundaries of the relationship. And so using a tool like this can be really helpful in kind of just communicating what it is you're looking for in that relationship. And so this is
And,
just
like,
one example. Yeah.
And like I know this is not. I think for like a future I'm not sure if we even like did this episode, but in future we can actually discuss like scenarios when it comes to like kinks or like the BDSM
I want to
community.
definitely talk about kink
Yeah,
in the community for sure.
yeah, because I did see a couple of videos like there's two of them that I highly recommend, but my brain that is in like one of my playlists. I will definitely like have to like look for them in order for it to be in a future episode. But both of these people are in the ace community. One is asexual, one is demisexual, and they both talk about their experiences in the BDSM community. And just because it's kink does not mean it is inherently sexual. Cause some interests in the kink community can also be a lifestyle as well.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be like, ooh, sexy time in the bedroom.
No, exactly. Kink
Yeah.
on its own is not inherently sexual.
It can be.
It
and
can
it's
be, but it's
usually
not.
it can be.
It's
usually
not
referred
necessarily
there, but it's not there.
inherently sexual on its own. And so this is a really interesting kind of thing I would like to talk about with some folks. I just haven't, had anybody tell me that they want to talk about it yet. So
I volunteer as tribute. You have me.
Absolutely. All right. Absolutely. I definitely want to explore this in a future episode for sure. Welcome on in, Lieutenant
Blue!
Horizon Blue. Good to see you.
Hi, Blue. Blue's also a really cool
Absolutely.
streamer.
I'd love.
You should point at Blue. Follow them. Follow him. Follow him aggressively and delicately, but also aggressively.
Good luck, Busby. Go mow that lawn.
Good
And
luck,
absolutely,
Busby.
I'd
Go
love
mow
to
it.
chat with you, Kaber, about kink as well. That would be an awesome discussion for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like because I think like also like relationship anarchy also is in the kink community as well. Because
Absolutely.
like especially when it's even with like relationship, like like sexual, but also in lifestyle as well. You have to communicate and be able to trust your partner when it comes to the BDS, to like the kink
Mm-hmm.
community, both lifestyle and sexual. So relationship anarchy also has a little bit of a say in that as well.
Totally. Communication is so incredibly important, especially around kink and what it is that exactly you're looking for in it, for sure. Communication is so inherently important on so many aspects of any relationship.
Absolutely, you don't have a relationship if you don't communicate.
Exactly.
Point blank. Both in like a more like funny haha way to a more deeper, more serious level.
Exactly.
Because I'm a firm believer that like yes, you can say about your morals and act on them and stuff like that, but you truly don't know anybody until you get into like a serious situation. Point
Absolutely.
blank.
Absolutely. So, communication, communication, communication is all I'll say.
Period.
Period. Absolutely. So, we've talked a lot about, kind of relationship anarchy. We've chatted a little bit about, kind of the 101s of asexuality and romanticism, really tried to emphasize just how different the experiences are under the umbrella. And this goes for any identity. There's also a huge amount of diversity within the um, allosexual community. Not everybody that's allosexual is going to have the same experiences than, the next person that's allosexual. That applies to any identity.
Mm. Absolutely. And obviously there's similarities and also like all the good jump when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
like Leaves of Anarchy and QPRs. Like
Exactly.
I would say or arguably like other than like the kink community and also polyamorous community. I, not polygamy, polyamorous community. Like relationship anarchy is also very deep into QPRs as well. Like it's just basically a form of like how you like manage your relationship. A QPR, the communication stuff like that. A QPR is just like a label. It's like what do you think it is,
It's Pikachu!
and how you guys view it.
Fuck! Thank you to
Yay.
the anonymous gifter for gifting a sub to Bloodstained Wings. Thank you so much,
I
anonymous.
110% think that's
Anonymous.
Duke.
No,
Anonymous.
That's definitely Duke. Just messing with you. Imagine
good
if
to
you just
see
told
you.
Duke off, and he's like, "I'm gonna go nom nom."
Good to see you, BSW. Really good point. Trust is huge around kink, around all aspects of relationships, but honesty and trust are absolutely imperative to relationships.
Absolutely. And I will not lie that I do have trust issues,
Mm-hmm.
both like romantically and platonically. Like my track record when it comes to like relationships is really bad, I would say. Both like on like the person's part and also on my part as well. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but also that's the reason why me and my partner work. Because I'm able to trust them full 100%, and they're able to trust me full 100%. Yeah, we do
Mm,
have our anxieties, we do have our doubts, but that's where communication and honesty comes in.
absolutely. I am so sorry, BSW. I am so
Mm,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but like
It sucks to
I
have to
do.
go through that.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and like I do really like because I did have like relationships where or like people who I was talking to that like did not listen or nor like did not hear what I was saying.
It's unfortunately far too common of an experience.
It's very common to a point where like honestly I have my own doubts of like is it really them or is it just me?
It's
And
way
Hmm.
I'm not
too
s- I'm
common of
not
an experience.
and I'm not sure if it's like a common experience or like a common feeling But
Mm.
when you've been through like a lot of like mistrust or like a lot of like things you have to walk away from, sometimes it just feels like, wow, I've been through a lot. Is it like me? Am I like the common denominator, or it's just like I'm that unlucky?
Am I the asshole?
It's like, am I the asshole?
Absolutely
Basically.
not. Absolutely not. But I totally can
Exactly.
appreciate feeling that way. And it's so, so unfortunate. You are not the
Like,
asshole here. Absolutely not.
Yes,
uh,
you are not the asshole.
uh, like I'm willing to admit if I'm the asshole in some situations. I'm full on like, yeah. Even though I don't like being wrong or like being the asshole, but something that happens. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you just need someone to call you out, being like, "Hey, you're being
Hmm.
a fucking dick."
Mm.
I was like,
Call that
"Shit, you're
shit out.
right."
Absolutely call that shit out.
Like, shit, you're right.
You right, you right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's where communication comes in too. Like, yeah, like sometimes you should just need to be told like, yeah, you're being a dick and why,
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
in
Mhm.
order to like get that reality check.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
that's my old I feel.
it's not just communication, but it's communication with a purpose and to basically, you know, create trust within the relationship and be honest about things that are not working for you. Talk
And
about it
also
before it gets to be, talk about it before it becomes a real problem.
facts. Like, and even if those doubts are silly or you think it's silly, like you're just talk about it with your partner, talk about it with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it can be sometimes like even though it might seem silly to you, the fact that you're getting confirmation so early on that
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, you're actually like you're okay
Mm-hmm.
plays a huge part so you won't like crash out or don't feel like everyone just like wants to get at you a lot less.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And BSW said communication's a two-way street. Absolutely. It's not just one person talking and the other person listening. There's got to be
Facts.
communication back and forth and, coming to some sort of agreement, figuring out what those boundaries are so that you can feel trust in that relationship is so incredibly important, regardless of what that relationship is.
Exactly. Like for example, like because like me and my partner also talk about like sexual like interests and like how we are going to be open, how would we be open for other people, because I'm more of like a more sexual person than they are, and we had that conversation, and every and even though like yes, we do talk about the people that like we're with. Yeah, we do talk about like okay, yeah, this person said this. Oh my god, we're tea and like all the good stuff. Like we always talk about like what's going on in our lives. Even though like my life feels like that one scene in Family Guy where it's like, okay, back in with playing with the Blackie report. Coming in, it's raining sideways like type shit. Like we communicate about like literally everything, even with the sexual things.
So, so important. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think I lost the plot at some point when I decided to make references, but I hope so we get across.
Uh,
Absolutely. I think, we've definitely we've covered a lot here.
And
Do
I
we
feel like
want
it's
to
maybe
do we want to transition to QPRs and talk about what those are?
I felt like we were talking about QPRs like
Yeah.
24/7.
So we've talked in and around them. Let's kind of formally define what they are and, kind of delve into it in, a little bit more. So, just to give a little bit of a background of what a queer platonic or quasi platonic partnership or relationships. So sometimes people call it a QPP, sometimes people call it a QPR. These are relationships that are not purely platonic, neither purely romantic in nature. They typically involve a greater degree of emotional closeness than one would typically associate with a platonic friendship in a Western North American context. However, this is where it gets a little bit messy, because in other cultures, in other parts of the world, some of these things like kissing, holding hands are purely platonic. They, are encouraged, within platonic friendships. Whereas, in North America, these are more often associated with romantic. However, QPRs are kind of this gray zone between the two. But the key here is that there is no one way to have a QPR. What that QPR looks like is up to the folks in that relationship. And this is why I kind of have paired it with relationship anarchy here, because relationship anarchy is really big on saying, okay, what are the bounds of this relationship? What is this relationship going to look like? And I think for QPRs, that's really what the folks in that QPR end up doing. There's no one way to be in a QPR, and that QPR is going to look different from person to person. They're more common in the ace and arrow community. However, this is often a point of confusion. The queer in queer platonic, in queer platonic, is not that the folks in the relationship are necessarily queer or in the 2S LGBTQIA plus community. They often are, but they don't have to be. Theoretically, you could have a QPR between folks that are theoretically heterosexual. It's less common, but theoretically that could occur. So the queer here is the fact that the relationship is queered, and it doesn't conform to the societal norms of what folks in a North American context typically see as purely platonic or purely romantic. So that's the key here with queer platonic. Anything you kind of want to add to that, Peach or Sleepy Bunny?
I'm gonna let Peach go first because I feel like I'm
I
yapping too much.
I'm like just not super yappy today, so it's totally fine. Please don't feel like you're yapping, because you're doing great. You're not.
Oh, thank you.
I'm enjoying it.
Because I don't want to like talk over like you can't find like an opening for
Oh,
when I
I am a
yap.
talker. I am a talker. I just I'm struggling with openings with these.
No, you're so valid. You're very valid. I just go on random and just like yeah. But
I'm
but
usually a professional yapper, so like today I'm just
I,
like a little off, I guess.
no, you're good. Technically, we're all professional yappers.
Hmm.
Going off of what who was it that said like the best friend? Oh yeah, B BTW. I'm just gonna call you Bloodstain. Is that okay? I'm gonna call you Bloodstain.
BSW is how she usually,
BS.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bloodstain, yeah, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
BSW. So basically, like, it really just depends on like what the people that are in the relationship is comfortable with. Like, for example, like me and my partner go on romantic dates, like, but we don't really like do a lot of like the more romantic stuff like kissing or like yeah we don't sleep with each other. Like we don't really care about like the whole entire sexual bit. That's just basically like, yeah, oh yeah, that's there. Wanna go on that ball day? Hell yeah. That's just basically what my QPR is. another someone's like for example Peach's QPR might if has sexual aspects versus mine. However, like even though they're two very very different QPRs, maybe sometimes similar, they're not one the same.
Yeah, and everybody's different. Everybody has different wants and needs.
Exactly. My name is basically like more or less for like companionship, romantic companionship. That's like the most priority for me. And like similar could be said for my partner. Again, they're not here in order to like confirm that, but personally, that's what I seek seek in my QPR companionship. Also, I'm gonna go for dude's question. The question attempt to ask my sex, favorable sex, and different asexual counterparts is being challenged how you both ace and allo. If you don't experience sexual attraction, I don't call myself straight ace, but romantic. I'm I'm gonna like I'm gonna try to like process like the question because I'm also sex
Yes.
different. But I would I would say like if you have like some type of like you're not really that sexually attracted, well you're A's
Mm-hmm.
for being you're in the A spectrum verbatim. Being allosexual means that you have sexual attraction. You have no problem with it. Like you don't have any like type of specification or qualification and for it to be there. That's just basically what being allo is.
Yeah.
And being ace is opposite. Like you don't really have a lot of sexual attraction, or you have some certain requirements. In like demisexuality, you need to have like that emotional bond for it to potentially be there. That's a qualification. You're still ace by
Yep.
by that alone.
That
So,
qualification
yeah,
makes you ace.
absolutely.
Yes.
So I get what Duke is saying, that he doesn't call himself a quote straight ace, because straight typically has connotations of both allosexual and hetero romantic. So the two together, heterosexual. So straight is typically associated with heterosexual. So I totally
Yeah.
understand not
Yeah.
wanting to call yourself a straight ace, because that term is loaded. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
and
totally
which is totally
understand that.
understand. It's totally understandable. Like, obviously, I won't be able to have like the exact same like feelings or exact same experiences because I am not straight. None of me is straight. Not even my hair is straight. So um, so I'm not able to like actually like to understand like how it feels to be like someone who is like a hetero romantic but also ace. But I do understand what you're coming from.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about QPRs, because there I know so many people in the Ace and Arrow community in a queer platonic relationship, but outside of the Ace and Arrow community, they are not well known or well understood. So I think it's really important to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, and like and also I'm usually the encyclopedia to my friends because like my friend even though my friends some of my friends are in the queer community, there's some that are not and they all have questions for me and how me and my partner function. Hell even my parents sometimes ask like yo, what are you guys like seem like friends, are you guys not? And I always reiterate like yes, this is my partner. We are heavily invested and this like we literally like before the relationship even started a couple of years back we really like said like yo we don't find anybody we're gonna marry each other and we're like all right bet and this is where we are like I'm not sure like how much and you've reiterated but but yeah I forgot what I was about to say next.
uh,
That's okay.
Oh
Um,
yeah, now I remember. But needless to say, like I am literally the first when it comes to a lot of people in my in my community, in my friend groups. Like I'm one of the first trans people that they meet. I'm one of the first ace people that they meet. I'm the first person that they ever like seen in a QPR. So I'm usually like everyone's first. I pop everyone's cherries. Wait, what? Pause. Anyway, wait, that can't but basically, yeah, like outside like the ace community, like not a lot of people know about QPRs. Not a lot of people know about like the ace community and like the ins and outs. Like I still have friends that are trying to understand, and I do, and like with them to the best they can, and that's all I can ask for.
They're doing their best.
Yeah. Also, good night, Demented Raven. I know it's
I
No.
know it's super
night.
late for you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for stopping by tonight, Raven. So lovely to see
absolutely.
you. Let me give you a shout out. I
Yeah,
Raven, if you don't know them,
Raven
they
was
are
beautiful.
absolutely an amazing streamer, amazing friend, amazing part of this community. Let me show out
Yeah,
Raven.
and I also had the pleasure of speaking with them in a podcast episode as well. They're
Absolutely.
really, really cool, and I highly recommend them. I couldn't recommend them. Oh, I couldn't recommend them
No.
enough. No.
No.
I swear, like I don't do anything, and suddenly a audio or like some part of media just pops up in my brain. Be like, oh yeah, that's a reference.
Eccolelia.
So BSW
It
brought up a
happened.
good point. So BSW mentioned ACE is something I'm currently struggling with learning because I'm not just allosexual, but I consider myself um, highly sexual. And so this is a whole world I don't necessarily get enough exposure to. And what I'm going to say is that unfortunately, asexuality is known as what's called the invisible orientation for a whole host of reasons that
Yeah.
we've kind of talked to a little bit about today, but we went into more detail in previous episodes, and there's a number of them. First off, the media often portrays asexuality as this person who has no sexual attraction, is sex negative, and is the trope of all aces. And it doesn't ever really talk about the fact that asexuality is much more than that. It it's a much greater spectrum. The other thing is that it's hard to know. I like to say, how do you find an ace in the wild? Because there's nothing outwardly present about them that would suggest that they are asexual unless they tell you they're asexual. So I
Yeah,
always
or
sort of
just be like overly blunt, being like, yeah, like I don't really care. Like if they start to say like, yeah, I don't really care about sex. Like, yeah, my sex life is like if they joke about like their sex life being zero and just say like, yeah, I don't really care about it or like all that good junk. More likely than not, like, firstly for me, from like how I like basically like remind people that I'm ace. It's just like I make like a lot of jokes about like my sex life. I make a lot of jokes about me being ace. Just basically like my form of like coping mechanism is humor. Both like with like a lot of things, even like things that are usually dark. I'm like, let's make a humor. Let's put some humor in it. There we go. So it also stretches to like my sexuality, like my gender, all that good junk. So like I'm probably like the raging Demi Airways.
so
Probably.
Ghost
I have no idea. Self-proclaimed. Oh
Ghost brought up the black rings. So for folks that are not
yeah.
familiar, there is something that is called the ace ring, and so I don't want to screw this up because there's I think is it the left hand? No.
I
With the
don't
right hand.
remember.
So I
Like
want I
I
want to get this correct because one side, one hand, if you wear it on your hand, it signifies your ace. Okay, so right hand, right hand, middle finger.
is the
The
right-handed?
left
Okay.
hand or any other finger with a black ring signifies that you're a swinger. So that is why I didn't want to get that
Oh.
wrong.
Don't put
So
it on your
right hand,
left
yeah.
hand.
So right
Okay,
hand, middle
left
finger,
hand, right
exactly.
hand, middle finger. Okay,
The
okay, okay,
left
okay.
hand, middle finger with a white ring is arrow. So if you have
Oh.
the right hand with a black ring and a white ring on the left hand on the middle finger, your arrow ace.
Oh, okay, I did not know about like the white ring. I
Yeah,
knew about the black
so
ring when I was like a teen, but I never knew about like the white ring.
hmm so has to be on the middle finger on the right hand. That's the quote ace ring. But then and then the arrow said, okay, we're gonna do a similar thing, but we're gonna use a white ring on the left hand.
When was the white ring coin? The
It
white
came after,
ring coined
obviously.
in?
It's
Okay,
based off the.
obviously,
I don't
but
know when the arrow ring originated.
yeah, because like
Let me look it up.
I knew about like the Black Ring around 2016. That's when I was like 15, actually like delving into like the asexual community. Finding out that I was actually like demisexual. That's just basically like my introduction into like the ace community. So and I realized that was arrow like way later on in roughly like in late 2022. So obviously, I don't really have like a lot of like insight when it comes to like the arrow community, like I do the Ace. So it's really just informational for me. Hey, another thing to learn about in this podcast. Hey.
Hey.
So
Hey.
according to this one website, Ace Speculations, they
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
mentioned that
Nice.
the Ace ring was formulated in 2005 through Avon, and then in 2015 is when the arrow ring kind of first became talked
Oh.
about. So
Okay,
2005
okay.
was the ace ring, 2015 was the arrow ring.
Okay. So it's like roughly when I was like 13 to 14 years old. All right. So it's a little bit after I found out I
Yeah,
was like Ace. I was like, okay, cool. I don't need to search about the arrow community. I'm
yeah.
fine.
I want to get an ace ring. I just haven't found one that I particularly like yet. I
Same
want to get one.
here. I know I wanted to get like a plain black ring, but also at the same time I wanted to like do like the suits of because like I remember correctly back in like 2016 I saw like the suits like the hearts were like asexual, the spades were demisexual. I forgot what the clubs and the diamonds were. I think the clubs were like gray sexual, but I don't remember the diamonds. But like I would love to get a ring, but I know my ass. I do not wear rings on a
Mm-hmm.
regular. Rings are not really a part of my jewelry like it is with like headpieces or like chokers. So I know for a fact that like it'll just probably be like something that like, hi, I have it, and also like just like check more like basically put in mind like my ring size as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
apparently I have like big sausage fingers. That's
I've
why.
got a similar problem. I've got fairly fat fingers, and so trying to find a ring that would fit would be a problem. I'd have to get it fitted properly. Haber brought
Yeah.
up a really good point that they can't handle rings for sensory reasons, but they would love to get the ace and arrow rings tattooed on their fingers, and that's a really good idea.
Ooh,
I've also
that
seen
should be really cool.
I've also seen some people wear it as a chain, so they get like the a black ring and they put it around a chain uh, on a chain and wear it as a necklace. And I've seen that as well. However, that wouldn't be as obvious necessarily.
I was actually thinking about that, like, cause like me and my partner are like pretty serious when it comes to like marriage. We do talk about it, and I know for a fact that like I'm not a ring person, and and I would probably like take off the ring and forget about it, like just pure forgetting, not infidelity, just pure forgetfulness. Because I've done that before with bracelets. So I think like these my solution would probably be like a necklace with the rings. That's a absolutely.
So Duke had a question. So the black on the ace flag as well as the arrow flag represents a lack of attraction.
Yeah, that's if I
Gray
remember correctly, yes.
is the kind of gray space between allo and asexual, and white represents allosexual or allo romantic in the case of the arrow flag, and then the purple represents the ace community, and the shades of green represent the arrow community on the arrow flag.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember. I keep forgetting the flag colors also do have meaning as well. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah,
That's just like my bad, my point.
yeah.
But
So,
but at the same time, some flags I'm here like y'all could just pick like different colors.
but that's a really good point, because why would you wear a white ring if you're arrow on using the
Yeah.
flag logic? See what I mean?
Oh,
However, I
using
guess
flag logic, but in like the
to be able
in
to,
like the logic, like in
yeah.
the ace logic, the it'll just be black and white. Black and white
So
looks
I
cool.
understand why it's white to, be very
Yeah.
obvious difference to the ace ring. However, if we go by the flag logic, it doesn't work. But I understand why it's white, because then it's a very obvious opposite to the ace ring.
And also like to a person who wanted to get like the white ring tattooed, I would say like probably try finding like a style because like white ink, you have to bypass it like a bunch of times in order for it to show up, and also like the longevity won't really be that well or like that long, and you're doing this on bone, like and you're also washing your hands as well, so the ink will fade off really fast than if it were to be like black or any other color other than like white or red. So I would say like I would love to see like how you would put this in like an actual tattoo, just for the curiosity of it, because like I have a tattoo. I've been like playing mapping out my tattoos I want to get next, and I would love to see how you would do it.
Absolutely. I'm thinking now of a very meta tattoo of a hand with an ace ring and another hand
Ooh,
with an arrow ring, and the tattoo is of a hand with an ace ring and another of a hand with an arrow ring.
that
Now
would be
that's
very
meta.
interesting.
That's
That's
meta.
really meta. Or just while my tattoo's like, oh, you can, one of them will just be a duel with my favorite things. The other one and the other would be like octopus tentacles because I love the sea, and octopuses are my favorite animal, and also like I'm a marine bio major, so it kind of fits.
DSW said the only one I remember is the bottom color of the lesbian flag has basically B00B in the hex code. That's hilarious.
That's
That's amazing.
funny.
That's
Honestly,
amazing,
that's
actually.
That's
amazing.
great.
That's immaculate. I love that. They
Someone
knew
thought of that. They did that intentionally.
they did that.
Absolutely.
I'm here
They
for
knew
it.
exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they're doing. I think like the pie flag also has something similar. I could be wrong,
I would
but
be very
that's
curious to know about the buy one.
yeah. I if I remember correctly. The buy one like was also just as funny, but I could be wrong. I could just be imagining. It could just be a placebo effect in my brain, just like being Delulu. Who knows?
The sunset lesbian flag is absolutely gorgeous, by the way.
I know, right? Honestly, it's a step up from the lipstick lesbian flag, hands down. Not just
Miles.
because, not
Miles.
just be, not just because like the lipstick lesbian flag is problematic, as in
Hmm.
it doesn't include like trans women, but also like there's way too many reds, similar reds, and like I love the sunset lesbian flag. Like the colors were like a lot more fun to work
Hmm.
with when I was doing my rainbow bun like designs. I love the colors of the flag. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the Sunset Arrow Ace flag is great as well. I'm a huge fan of that.
Absolutely.
So for those that
I'm
don't
also a
know the
fan about I'm also a fan of that one too.
grab
Like
grab
I wish that flag could be used a lot more because it's
grab
such
the
a
Arrow
beautiful
Ace flag.
flag. It's such a beautiful flag, and I love it. But no, people want to use the like the combo flag, which is nothing wrong with that. Hey,
That's
look at all its
the Arrow
glory.
Ace flag. So it goes from orange, the yellow, the white, the light blue, dark blue.
I think I saw one with the demi arrow ace flag because it's just like I personally love it. It's the flag that I would personally buy and use. So I that's something I need to look for because like I do love my I right now I have I have an agender flag, I have a asexual flag, and I also have a demi-romantic flag as well. The romantic flag is not up, but still, I want to like have like a demi airways flag so I can put it up in my room.
Should get one.
I know when I'm not broke.
Real,
Yes.
real.
Me when I tell the
Fair.
truth.
The
Fair.
Arrow Ace flag is so pretty. I love it. I
It's
absolutely love it.
so pretty, and I wish people would use the sunset flag a lot more. But I understand that like the other flag is used mainly because of Jaden animations,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that personally. But I like the colors; they're pretty.
So the other flag that folks refer to is kind of like a combination of the ace and arrow flag. So technically, I, my understanding is that the original creator of the sunset arrow ace flag um, designed it or intended it to be for um, non-SAM arrows or non-SAM arrow aces, and by that I mean for folks that don't use the split attraction model. So
Mm.
we talked about the split attraction model in other episodes. Essentially, it's the idea that, you know, sexual attraction, romantic attraction, aesthetic attraction, and you've got all these other kinds of attraction, and they're all different things. For non-SAM arrows, they don't necessarily see a difference between a lack of sexual and a lack of romantic attraction. It's all just part and parcel of the same thing, or it's all one part of their experience. So I believe the initial or the person that originally created that flag saw it as a flag for non-SAM arrow aces. However, I love using it myself, even though I personally use the split attraction model because I absolutely love that flag. And I don't really know of any alternative arrow ace flag that's really, other than using the combination of ace and arrow, I don't really know of any other ones out there.
I just like the flag because it's pretty. That's
Exactly. And
just
that's the other
my
reason I use it.
yeah. It's a pretty flag, and like there's and the combination of the colors I have not seen in a flag around the time where I was like seeing like the flags. Um, that's the first flag I ever seen that had like the pretty combination of both like orange and blue, which
Mm-hmm.
funnily enough are complementary colors. They're on the opposite of the color
Mm-hmm.
wheel. So
Exactly.
it kind of tracks, you know?
Absolutely.
It kind of tracks.
Absolutely. I love the arrow ace, the sunset arrow ace flag. And I've always
Like a
wondered
lot.
if it was inspired by whether it came out after the sunset lesbian flag or not.
I'm not 110% sure. I think, very correctly, it did came at yeah. I think it came before
Hmm.
the sunset one
I'm gonna have to
because I
look this
remember
up.
seeing because I remember seeing the that flag I think around like 2016 2017, and the sunset lesbian flag came around
2018.
2018 2019.
Yeah. So arrow ace flag came up or was created in December 2018, and the sunset lesbian
When was
flag
that?
was
Because I
also
remember there was a
2018. They both came out in
okay.
2018, apparently.
What's the month? We need to do months.
I think
We need to
I
micro.
think the sunset lesbian flag may have come out earlier in 2018. I can't find the exact month.
Because I remember like seeing such a commotion when it came to like the new lesbian flag. I'm not saying like it was like bad commotion or good commotion. It was more or less like, yeah, we don't fuck with the other flag anymore, so here's a new one. I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, bet.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I remember like seeing it on Twitter being like, yeah, we don't fuck with this flag anymore. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, bet.
Absolutely. And I've heard that as well, Caber, that some people identify as bi because they prefer the flag. I've heard that. I've also heard I generally find that more people prefer the bi flag to the pan flag who happen to be in sort of that case.
Personally, I think the pan flag is prettier, but like it did, but also it didn't really sway in like my decision of
Yeah.
being like pan romantic because I identified as bi romantic during like my time in high school. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? Actually, my interests align more into like the pansexual definition more than
Mm-hmm.
the bisexual one.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, I also like that color. Also, I love the color combination. If the color combination was like not the pink yellow and blue, I probably would have been like, I'm not gonna stick to like the bisexual flag. But I actually did like the color combination.
Hmm.
Yeah. You should. I think like a lot of people can say like I'm very simple because like my decisions are either A based on logic or B like, oh, I like this. This is mine now. I like this. I'm gonna take it.
Real. So real. Absolutely.
No, you're good. BSW. Like I think. Oh yeah, I think I
That's
remember
okay.
seeing it around like early 2018. Now I think about it. So yeah, like the sunset lesbian flag came before the
Yeah,
sunset
I think,
um
yeah, I'm very
ace.
sure. Absolutely.
I think so.
The trans
I
flag
think
is
so.
beautiful as well. I really like the
Oh,
blue in it.
It
absolutely.
is very
Absolutely.
pretty.
I went through a whole entire phase where my theme was pink and blue and white, and
Hell yeah.
this was before I thought I realized I was in the trans spectrum, bro. I was like, ooh,
Life
pretty
was telling you
colors.
something before you knew it.
like Live was saying knock knock bitch knock knock. I was
Haha.
like oh wait, you graduated, all right, bet. Slam the door. Like my only thing with the non-binary flag is like I wish the yellow was a bit
Mm.
more of a honey yellow.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. The yellow's
Yeah,
kind of eh.
like the I'm very particular about yellows. That's I always say like yellow is my least favorite color because like there's a lot of yellow combinations or like there's a bunch of yellows colors
Mm-hmm.
that I don't really like. And unless it's like a golden yellow or like a bit of a golden pastel yellow or like the dandelion color from the discontinued 2017 Crayola crayon. I know it's Ollie Pacific, but I'm not the only one who keeps seeing the I'm not sure if they're they them or like their pronouns, but we all seen that one 5% thing person on YouTube Shorts or TikTok that has a whole entire dandelion crayon color wall, right? I'm not the only one. A whole entire dedication of a wall to a discontinued 2017 crayon color. It's immaculate. I love it.
It sounds like something I would love.
And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I fuck with the color. That's like my favorite yellow color.
Thanks for the hydrate reminder, Duke.
Oh, let me hydrate.
I have not seen that, believe it or not. I have not seen it. But I'm gonna have to look it up now that you mention it.
Either my algorithm is like, yeah, you would like this, or say like, hey, you're autistic. Here you go.
So we are coming up to another ad here. Do we want to
Oh,
take a stretch break here and come
are
back?
you guys?
How are
I
you
don't
feeling?
mind.
How are you feeling? Peach?
I pers- Peach, how you feeling?
I'm pretty tired, not gonna lie.
Okay, why don't we
I'm spacing.
snooze this and wrap it up then?
Hell yeah.
So we're gonna snooze it, and we'll kind of just we've talked about a lot. We've been going for 2 hours now.
We're
Mhm.
certified yappers.
Absolutely.
For real.
We have a
For real.
PhD in yapology.
Is there anything that you'd like to add with regards to QPRs before we wrap up here? Any kind of last thoughts around QPRs and what we've been talking about?
I think that society really puts a limit on what they think a friendship could be or what
Yeah,
a relationship could be. And I just urge people to open your boundaries, step out of your box and uh accept things.
absolutely.
Cuz it's
Absolutely.
not that people are going to come running into your life, but opportunities do present themselves, and if you don't accept the small opportunities, then the larger opportunities aren't going to be created. So
Absolutely. Such a
Facts.
big facts. Such a
there you
good,
are.
excellent
Yeah.
recap. I don't think I could have said it any better myself.
Real.
I pulled it out of my
Real.
asshole.
Peace coming in with a
I would
W.
not have
Casual beast host.
expected that. I wouldn't
Casual
have been
beast
able to pull that out of my asshole, that's for sure.
Me neither.
CPT.
I was also say like if you like keep like for me like I didn't realize QPRs were the thing for me or like the thing that actually was right for me until I opened up the possibility with my current partner
Mm-hmm.
because I've been in strictly romantic relationships and they always failed for one reason or another, and I realized that like maybe a QPR is right for me, and lo and behold, it was. So
Lo
I
and
would say,
behold.
lo and behold. So my takeaway, I feel like everyone's takeaways for like QPRs is like try them out. Like each relationship is different, but it doesn't hurt to try out a QPR or try out things because you never know if you would like it or not. But if you don't, but if you know, like, yeah, I definitely do not more like the traditional sense, the
Mm-hmm.
traditional Western sense. That's also okay.
I think
It like,
also
yeah,
just be open to the fact that relationships don't have to conform to societal norms. Relationships
Mhm.
should be defined by those in the relationship, I think is what I would close with.
Exactly.
absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself. I'd just be yapping eternally, not really getting to the point, lost the plot, then get to the point.